environmental impact of this spill. So to talk more about the environmental tragedy that we're seeing unfold is Dr. Deborah Brosnan, president of Deborah Brosnan and Associates. Dr. Brosnan, such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How does such a mistake possibly happen? What do we know so far about really what caused this?
I don't think we fully know the cause. It looks like there was possibly either a ship's anchor or something that ruptured that oil pipe that goes from the oil platform onto shore, and that's about a 17-mile journey in, but it happened about 4.5 miles offshore. And because the winds are blowing onshore and because the currents are coming onshore into the south, it's carrying that oil right onto the beaches from Huntington Beach all the way down to Laguna Beach at the moment.
And so we've seen some of the photos of what it's done to the shore, what it's been doing to wildlife there. But the question I guess I have, even for just a short period of time, what does this actually do to the ocean there? What does, even just this happening for the last 4 days, what does this do to the ecological effects of just the ocean?
Oh, there's immediate ecological effects, and then there are long-term ecological effects that we won't know for a while. But short-term, right now we have, in effect, globs of oil. It's not one huge spill, but globs of oil are washing ashore and they're coming up on the beaches. As they travel inshore, they're affecting everything from fish. We've heard that dead fish are washing ashore. Birds that get oils, they can't regulate their temperatures, they can't fly, they can't feed. So we're seeing birds already dying. So along the way, as the oil comes ashore, we're getting impacts. Same with whales and dolphins. We know humpbacks are in the area. Fortunately, there have been no records of humpbacks being affected. So in the water, it's being affected. But now let's see what happens when you come ashore. This area, Huntington Beach particularly, is home to several ecological preserves, marshlands, the Talbot marshlands, huge biodiversity reserves for nursery species, for fisheries, for birds, for wildlife, and a great place for people to visit. We know that the oil is already coming into these marshlands. There's a big effort onshore to try and stop the oil. But the real tragedy of this, and it is a tragedy, is that to create these kind of ecological preserves on shore, it means that a lot of people had to come together. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the community, the environmental groups, the business groups worked for years to get funding to create these marshlands, to create these ecological preserves. And in one day, that the damage to these areas can be great. So it is a tragedy. Fortunately, people are out there. The response has been rapid. So that's a good thing.
And how can we possibly mend a situation, so something like this or the BP oil spill, which went on for 4 months, that we see less and less of these things happen? Is this just more of essentially a call for electrification, of finding more green energy sources out there so that way you're not reliant on oil?
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, as long as we have oil rigs offshore, as long as we have both deep sea and these shallow water oil platforms off California, you are going to have a spill. It's not if, it is when. There will be some, there will be more. This is not going to stop. The only way that it will stop is if we stop relying on fossil fuels and we switch to green energy. And already we're starting to hear calls in California for basically revision of offshore drilling and offshore oil. The Monterey Bay Aquarium just came out with a statement that said this oil spill should be a reminder that we need to switch to renewables. And ultimately, that is, if we want to prevent oil spills coming ashore, we've got to prevent the oil having the risk of coming ashore, and that's the switch.
Absolutely. Dr. Deborah Brosnan, president of Deborah Brosnan and Associates, thank you as always for joining us here on